through the Barber Scholarship established at the University of Michigan and philanthropist Levi Barber. In 1917 of Asian woman to study in the US, she joined the botany department as Barber Scholar at Michigan in 1924. During her time at the University of Michigan, she focused on plant cytology, the study of genetic composition and patterns of gene expressions in plants. Her expertise was of particular interest at the Imperial Sugarcane Institute in Coimbatore, now the Sugarcane Breeding Institute. In 1940, Amal moved to Norfolk, England to begin work at the John Innes Institute. There she worked closely with genetics and eugenicist Cyril Dion Darlington. Darlington researched the ways that chromosomes influence heredity, which eventually grew into an interest in eugenics, particularly the role of race in the inheritance of intelligence. When she returned to India in early 1950s, she did not so at the request of Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister after their 1947 independence from British rule. India was recovering from a series of famines, including the Bengal famine of 1943 that killed millions. It was for the reason Amal's work took a decidedly different turn. After spending decades applying her skills to improving the commercial use of plants, she began using her influence to preserve indigenous plants under threat. Literacy among women in India was less than 1%, and fewer than 1,000 women in total were enrolled in the school above 10th grade, writes historian of science Vinita Damodaran, and Amal's distant relative in her article Gender, Race and Science in 20th Century India. After graduating, Amal taught for 3 years at the Women Christian College in Madras before receiving a unique opportunity. In 1970, the Indian government planned to flood 8.3 square kilometers of pristine evergreen tropical forest by building a hydroelectric plant to provide power and jobs to the state of Kerala. And they would have succeeded if we hadn't of a burgeoning people's science movement, buttressed by a pioneer female botanist at 80 years old, Janaki Amal used her status as a valued national scientist to call for the preservation of this range of biodiversity. Today, Silent Valley National Park in Kerala, India stands as one of the last undisturbed swaths of forest in the country, bursting with the lion-tailed macaques, endangered orchids, and nearly 1,000 species of endemic flowering plants. Sometimes called the first Indian woman botanist, Amal leaves her mark in the pages of the history as a talented plant scientist who developed several hybrid crop species still growing today, including varieties of sweet sugarcane that India could grow on its own land instead of importing from abroad. Her memories is preserved in the delicate white magnolias named after her, and the newly developed yellow-plated rose hybrid that now blooms in her name. In her latter years, she became a forceful advocate for the value and preservation of India's native plants, and earning recognition as a pioneer of indigenous approaches to the environment. Edavalet Kakkat Janaki Amal was born in 1897, the 10th in a blended family of 19 brothers and sisters in Tellicherry, now Thalassery, in the Indian state of the Kerala. Her father, a judge in a subordinate court system in the Tellicherry, kept a garden in their home and wrote 2 books on birds in the North Malabar region of India. It was in this environment that Amal found her affinity for the natural sciences, according to her niece, Geeta Doctor. As she grew up, Amal watched as many of her sisters were through arranged marriages, When her turn came, she made a different choice. Amal embarked on a life of scholarship over one of matrimony, obtaining a bachelor's degree from Queen Mary's College, Madras, and honors degree in botany from the Presidency College. It was rare for women to choose this route since women and girls were discouraged from higher education, both in India and internationally in 1913.